Hello, welcome to the African Diaspora Program. Today we are going to discuss a 26-year-old lady called Marjorie. Well, Marjorie is from Southern Africa, Zambia precisely. She moved to the UK at the age of 5, and she has been able to build a career for herself in business development and management for pharmaceutical companies in the UK. On the side, Marjorie has a startup business she calls Career Goals Network. Career Goals Network is for youths in the UK that wants to make their 20s work for them so that they can be able to do well in their 30s. So what Marjorie is doing is creating activities that will entice youths to put their heads down and focus on building their 20s. Today, you're going to listen to the interview I have with Marjorie, and you will learn, I promise you will learn that it is motivational and inspirational, and it's going to make you turn back and focus on your route to achieving your...
My laptop for Zoom meetings and Teams meetings, but it's all right. I'll have to figure it out after this. So, to officially start, welcome to the African Diaspora, Marge. It's nice to have you here.
No, thank you
My
for
name,
having me.
so my name is Kingsley Anoze. I'm a master's student in visual media with Birmingham City University. So, while in the course of my studies, I decided to start up a kind of social enterprise to help the African community in the UK, especially youths, the youth of African descent in the UK. I figured out a way to create a mentorship program for them to get the African heroes. I tend to call them African heroes, those people that have started something for themselves in their career or maybe their businesses, to share their experiences and share their life stories so that these life stories can in turn encourage, motivate, and inspire the African youth in the UK. So before I started, I did a survey. I surveyed 40 BCA students. I asked them how did they feel coming to the UK, coming to a new place, different culture, trying to settle in. What do they think about their goals, their ambition, their dreams? Do they think they can achieve it? A lot of them are afraid that they might not achieve these goals. A lot of them think that they might end up having to go back to their country to, you know, uh, get something for themselves. Most of them are complained about this COVID situation that it made them, the school is not physical anymore. It's from the house, and most of them have never met any other student from the school. They all study from home, and they're finding it hard to join the community, the youth or the student community, the African community here, to settle down or make friends. So they all agreed that sharing this experience of successful African men and women that started something for themselves, sharing their life stories on how they started, came in, settled down, and built something for themselves, we go a long way in motivating and inspiring them to take the next steps in achieving their goals. So that's why I reached out to you, Marge. I've seen what you've done so far. I took a look on your page on Instagram and I see what you've been doing. And seriously, it's very inspiring that someone so young can put something like that together. So I will allow you to introduce yourself and what uh, your startup is all about, and just give us a good picture of what you are doing for yourself.
All right, so I'm Marjorie. By descent, I'm Zambian, from the little copper country there in Southern Africa. Um, but I'm currently working as a business development manager in the pharmaceutical industry. And then on the side, I also started a platform called Career Goals Network, which was essentially the birth of Career Goals Network came about my ambition of trying to help young people to make sure that they make their 20s work for their future. Because just like you, Kingsley, what I find is like a lot of young people, they're not sure of what they should be doing in their 20s. They get to 30 and then they're like, I think my life should be somewhere else. So
Yeah.
basically, Career Goals Network was a platform that was going to facilitate helping you make sure you figure out what steps you should be doing in your 20s around your career, your finances, and your personal development, as well, with a little bit of self-care and mental health. And that's how I started Career Goals Network last year. And it's been growing and growing ever since. And yeah, that's a little brief background as to what I'm doing at the moment. Did you want to find out what I'm doing, like how I got to where I am?
Well, let's start with when you moved to the UK. What process was it? A student visa? Was it another type of visa? When did you move to the UK, and what process did you get to the UK?
Okay, so in my case, I came to the UK because my parents were here. So I moved when I was 10. So the migration from Zambia to the UK was all processed by my parents. And then obviously you come here. I mean, I coming from Zambia, which is an English speaking country. So I could already speak English, but still I had to adjust to the education system here because it's a little bit more um, progressive in a sense, a little bit different from Zambia because Zambia is more, there's a lot of strictness around what you're supposed to do. Whereas I found that in the UK, there's a little bit more flexibility in the way that you can develop in your career, the way you can develop in your education as well. So that's how the process of coming from Zambia to the UK was for me. It wasn't something that I chose to do. It was because my parents were here already.
So, I mean, you came in here when you were just very tender and young. So, was there any personal goals, any dreams, when you got here? Was there any personal dreams you had in mind that you're gonna achieve? Like maybe when you started high school, started secondary school, were you trying to say, I want to be this, I want to be this, or I want to be this? Was there any personal goals that you had in mind? Or you were just going through trying to settle down, trying to have nature takes its place? Or you had
Yeah, I don't
a
think I had any ambitions of like, oh, I want to be this whilst I was coming from Zambia to the UK. But when I did get to the UK, one thing that I started getting interested in was actually something completely different to what I do, which was child psychology.
okay,
I was inspired to do something around psychology. So that pushed me even with my A levels. I did psychology at my A level. But having lived with my mom is a nurse and my dad's a doctor. So I was already in an environment that was very medical based. And although I didn't want to be a doctor or a nurse, I was trying to fit myself somewhere around that. And that's why I did have an ambition when it was time for me to go to university to do something around medicine or chemistry or pharmaceutical sciences, something like that.
okay,
Um, and so that was my sort of career path, as in that's where I wanted to be by the time I got to
okay,
my A levels.
all right, that's fair enough. So, I mean, I have to ask this. Do you have any experience what your first year in the UK was like?
On my first year, as a
Yeah,
little girl, just it was just overwhelmingly different, especially because I
as
was in a different I was in Wales, and
okay,
Wales is completely different to England as well. So they have their own language there as well. They don't speak just English. Like in school, you have to learn Welsh. So it was a very overwhelming experience of having to adapt to this new
okay.
world.
Let me ask you. I get what you're trying to say. A little girl, finding it hard to mix up with, Well, what do you think about the British culture when you came over here? As in, was it interesting, or you found it strange, or the people, the culture? What do you think about them?
I think obviously as a little girl coming to a different country, it's all exciting. You want to make new friends. You want to be in an environment where you're accepted. So I think more so on my side was making the effort to try and adapt to the culture rather than looking at it like, oh, it was strange. I was trying to adapt to the culture and say, yeah, so I'm no longer Marjorie who's come from Zambia. Now I have to be Marjorie who's now Welsh, trying to
Oh,
adapt
that's good.
to yeah.
Okay, so what was your opinion of the system when you came in? Like, did you look at the system like, oh, this is a system I can fit in? And by system, I mean the UK system, or the levels of education progression as a person, the system as a whole. Do you think, oh, this is a system I can fit in, or you were thinking maybe this system is not meant for African migrants, or what was your opinion of the system? Did you think it's something you can go into and become successful, or was it all about, oh, the system doesn't favor Africans, but I'll try my best, I'll do what I can and see how it goes?
No, I don't think that. I felt like it was not something that I could achieve. I mean, so actually taking it back a little bit, when I arrived in the UK was in the year six, and
Okay,
that's the year before you go into high school. So back then, around 2004, they used to do exams. You had to take some exams to go into high school, but it's
yeah,
completely different to Zambia, where if you fail, you have to go back a grade. So to come to a country where they were like, even if you don't pass, you're still going to go forward. It was kind of like, well, this is better than what I have back home, because back home you have to sweat, work hard. If you don't pass, you're not going to be able to go to the best schools. You're not going to be able to go forward to the next year. Sometimes they have to keep you back so that you can pass. So that bit
okay.
for me was like, oh, this is exciting. I don't have to work necessarily as hard as I had to back home.
So
That's
you
how I
found the system easier to handle than most people?
yeah, I think it was more favorable to you. And obviously they in the UK there's more options. Like they would tolerate your kind of learning ability, how you understand things, that kind of thing. There's more care around that. Whereas like back home, it's more get your grades, whether you learn left, right, or center. If you have dyslexia or whatever, there's less interest in trying to support you that way. Whereas here, like there's more support and in getting you to where you need to get to. So I definitely
Okay,
felt
so
like it was
so
a
what you're trying to say is that the system here it will put more effort to make you better more than the system at home.
yeah, that's the experience that I've had. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So I know you had a good experience, but did you find anything hard here adapting to? Was there anything you found hard adapting to here in the UK when you came in?
Mm, probably the food,
The food?
if I
Oh,
have to
okay.
say, yeah. That's about it, really. I think I was young and I was excited, like, oh, I've moved to a new country. I'm gonna be with my mom again, that kind of thing. So there wasn't so much of like maybe things were happening around me, but because I had so much enthusiasm
Yeah,
to be
okay,
part of this new environment that I was in, I didn't really consider what was going wrong as much.
okay. So, Marge, can you tell us on the process of how you passed through the secondary school, went to university, how you, when you came out from the university, did you get a job, or did you go straight to starting your business, your startup, or was there any process? Just tell us how you got to where you are now.
Um, so I've moved around a lot. So like I said, my story, I came from Wales. That's my first landing was Wales. But then
Yeah,
a year after arriving in Wales, I moved to Birmingham, which is another
okay,
completely different dynamic because Birmingham was different to Cardiff. Cardiff, in my school, maybe there was maybe three or four Black people, whereas Birmingham was a different culture perspective. Now I started finding people the same color as me. Maybe we're different in terms of different countries and different cultures, but it just brought a little bit more familiarity. So and this is high school now. Um, and obviously at high school times, I was having this ambition of, oh, I want to do child psychology. So that formed the decisions I made around what subjects I took to do my GCSEs. Um,
Okay.
and so I was more focused around, oh, I'm gonna do child development and stuff like that, and health and social care. So that was my mindset at that time. Um, then the whole experience in high school really, again, if you don't pass, you have another option. There's always options. So for me, I didn't find it really that much overwhelming. Probably my only experience in high school that was terrible was just the normal high school banter that goes around. People would tease you because you didn't put on the latest shoes, or that kind of thing. That's the culture of the UK. Like, you have to be on trend. I think that's when I
Yeah.
started experiencing that difference in culture, where there's more emphasis on the material things that you have. Whereas when I was in Zambia, it was your brains were more important than the material possessions that you had, that kind of thing. So that was the kind of difference from Birmingham that I experienced, where you're now pushed into this idea that you need to be part of the coolest crowd, that kind of thing. So that was
Yeah.
the different experience that I had. But obviously did my GCSEs, and then when it came to doing my A levels, I started changing around what I wanted to do with my career. Not so much focusing in healthcare, or like doing child development, but more chemistry. So I did chemistry, psychology, and English literature at A level.
Okay.
Um, and then um, during my A levels, I was a bit of a mad one. Let me just be honest. I used to be like that crazy girl that liked to party, blah blah blah. So my education literally went out the window. Um, so I didn't do particularly very well, this is a very interesting part of my career journey, because I didn't do very well in my A levels, so I didn't get into the university or into the courses that I wanted to get into. And I know a lot of
Okay.
people find themselves in this position after they finish their A levels, that you had this dream that you were going to go to uni, you're going to make people proud, and then maybe you didn't meet the grades to go to the university that you want to go to. And then you go through clearing. So clearing is where you try to apply last minute to as many universities to see who will take you. And then that's how I found myself back in Cardiff again, back in Wales, with the University of South Wales, where I got to do a degree in forensic chemistry. So it was no longer to do with pharmacy or medicine or what I wanted to do, but at least it had chemistry in there, because I had this ambition that I was going to work in the labs, I was going to come up with new medicines, new drugs, and everything like that. Um, and then I got to uni, and I started finding out more about myself. This time I was more focused. I wanted to develop myself, and I was understanding what am I good at, what am I not good at. And I find that a lot of young people don't take time to analyze that aspect of themselves. So they choose careers, or they choose things, and they go into it because either their parents or they think it's the right thing to do. When you go into it and you find yourself literally like, why am I here? And that's how I felt in my first and second year of university. I was like, I thought I wanted this, but I really don't enjoy in the labs pipetting, trying to figure out where this sort of mixture between this chemical and that chemical will create that kind of thing. And especially because I did forensic chemistry, which also involved, like, CSI.
CSI?
Yeah,
No?
when they go and investigate criminal investigations, like, so that was one
Okay.
aspect of my course, that
Oh,
I
CSI, a movie, right?
no, the criminal investigations where they go into a house, the people wearing white, maybe someone's been
Okay.
murdered, they go there, they find a piece of hair, and they say, oh, this person is the one that got. So that was
Okay.
part of my degree. I mean, it
Okay.
seems exciting, but for me, everything was just like, I don't want to do this. What? So by the time it was my second year, I started to think, Marge, what are you good at? Um, so I involved myself in a lot of things that were happening in the university. I became the student voice rep for my faculty. So a lot of people, if you're watching this, make sure if you're currently at university, try and get involved in as many things, because if you expose yourself to things, you're able to figure out what you like, what you don't like. And through that process, I was able to see, wow, I'm actually really good at communicating and building relationships. And um, I enjoy this aspect of things, of being commercially aware, that kind of stuff. So by the time I was in my third year, I knew I wasn't going to go back to the labs. I didn't want to be a scientist. I didn't want to do anything to do with, yeah, anything to do with the labs. And I had to find an alternative to what would be my next step in my career. And then I got blessed with an opportunity to go to University of Manchester and do my master's in enterprise, which was to do with business development, marketing, and entrepreneurship.
Okay.
So I was able to do my master's there. And so I started building my career around being someone who's business savvy and very commercially aware and wants to drive business. But I still wanted to maintain my focus around science because I do like it, just don't want to be in the labs. But I can work in the development of the business of that industry. So yeah, and then ever since I finished my master's, then I started looking for jobs, started out working for a pharmaceutical organization, developing the business there. And then I evolved my career. I've been through started off in pharmacy, then went into oil and gas, still working with business development and sales and marketing. I went into energy. I've worked for a startup doing um, software as a service as well. So, and now
Okay.
I'm back in pharma, and that's like my main job that I do. And then obviously I have like my side hustles and my other projects, for example, like Career Goals Network, where I support young people who want to develop themselves. And also I used to do CVs and help people with their career that way. So that's how I've grown myself to where I am right now,
Okay.
in a
So
nutshell.
basically, you made that decision to go into business development in the third year in the university. That was when everything changed, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
That was a bold move you did. And I believe a lot of people, I mean, some of them, they're in departments they don't want to be, or a lot of students might be doing courses they don't want to be, they don't want to be doing, but they can't, they think they can't change. But I mean, you took the bold step, you finished your degree, and then you did a master's in enterprise and business development, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think was a bold move, and I think that's where everything changed. I mean, if you didn't take that move, you might still be in the lab now. Do you see yourself being in the
Yeah,
lab?
no. I mean, I work for a lab. I can go into the lab if I want. I just don't. I, I'm more of an office girl on the road, meeting clients, bringing
Uh,
that money to the company, that kind of thing, those type of interactions. But I think what's important, I know, I think one thing that I think at 18 years old, sometimes not everybody is mature enough to be able to make a decision about what's going to be the rest of your life. And then,
yeah.
so that's point one. And then point two, life is flexible. I think people also don't realize like life is flexible. You can find yourself anywhere. So you've got to allow yourself that flexibility to experience different things. But I think if you're 18 and you're still unsure of yourself and what you want to do, I think take your time a little bit. Spend maybe the next 2 years before you're 20 to figure it out and
What if you
see.
are 25?
If you're 25, there's still hope. I think there's still hope. Still, I know people who are in their 30s and they figured out what they want to do in their 30s and they're going for it. And like I
Yeah,
said, life is flexible.
yeah.
It's what you're making, and we all have different experiences of life. Like not everybody was born with a silver spoon. Some people, it might take you longer to understand things because just that's just the way you are. So I think for a young person who's coming from Africa and they want to establish themselves here, expose yourself to different things, try different things like we have, obviously right now we're in lockdown, so it's not easy to network, but things like Instagram, LinkedIn, these type of profiles, look for people that are there that you have similar interests in, start up that conversation, that follow up, and engage with the communities that you find interesting, and then see where it takes you. Because I think when I allowed myself to do that when I was uni in the second year of uni, it opened my eyes, because had I just stayed doing my degree and that was all that I did, I would have.
Marge, your advice to the youths is to properly network, to have a very good network around themselves. They should use platforms like LinkedIn and Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also
That,
maybe like some societies. If you're at university, there's loads of societies these days.
okay.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Okay, we're running out of time. But I have to ask this: if you are supposed to take these steps again, like go through this process you went through, is there anything you would do differently? Do you think?
I think I would have taken my time whilst I was younger.
While you were younger, taking
Yeah,
your
like
time to,
like 18, 19, 20 there. I would have taken my time
okay,
to
to
try
make
and
better
really,
choices.
yeah. Because I think you're
All right.
pushed into it, isn't it? You're told you've got to make it. And then you go off and you find yourself
Understand.
sometimes in places where you don't want to be. But yeah, I would have taken my time um, to truly understand myself so that I can make better choices and decisions.
Oh, that's perfect. I think okay. That's okay. I mean, the advice Marge is giving us today is take your time to think about your career before you make that decision, especially if you're 18, right? Take maybe 2 years and think of the next step before you take it. Don't just jump into anything. So that's perfect. So, Marge, the last question. What advice do you have for the African youth? Obviously, from the research we did, we have up to 40,000 students moving from Africa to the UK for studies every year. So, what advice do you have to these people that are just coming in, maybe for degree, first degree, or maybe for master's degree, or maybe for PhD? What advice do you have for them in terms of achieving their goals and aspirations?
Um, Embrace the environment that you're in. Don't be afraid. And like I said before, life is flexible. So don't be too narrow-minded and stuck to say this is the only way. Have the flexibility to interact with different people, different cultures. That's actually a point, but I feel like we like to stick to our own little corner and we don't embrace people around us, and then that sort of limits you in
All right.
in opening your mind about what you can achieve or what you can do.
Okay. Okay.
Your
So the
network
last
is
question.
worth everything. Let me just say that your network is worth everything. Because the other day somebody was saying to me, "Oh, um, Marge, you know this person or you know that person. How can I find this?" Most of the time, I don't really know anything, but because I know person one who knows person two, they can connect you to person three that you need that person to help you with whatever you need to. So your network is worth everything.
Yeah. So that's it. That's a good advice. So basically, you're saying that to easily settle down in the UK, to easily, I mean, achieve your dreams and aspirations, you have to network. You have to network with people. And Marge, you're advising that young people should make use of LinkedIn, Instagram, and other social platforms out there to network and connect to other people in the same field. So I think that's perfect. That's a good advice. I hope people watching this can take up your advice and do the best they can in achieving their dreams and goals. So the last question, what's your thoughts, Marge, about the African diaspora? I mean, this is a new startup also. So what's your thought about it?
About in general, about the African
Yeah,
diaspora.
the African diaspora and this project, yeah.
No, I think it's a good platform for those people that are out there that are looking to find like what we just spoke about, a networking platform or a place where they can learn and engage to be able to open their mind. So I would definitely say um, get involved, be part of something like this because it will help you in the long run. Because what Kingsley is doing is not just exposing you to just anybody, like the effort that's going in the background to ensure that you're getting the best. I think that's very, very important because a lot of people just post random things, but the fact that you're taking this stance to be able to help other young people out there to have the right information to help them develop themselves. I think it's you can never have too much of that. So
Yeah.
keep it up.
All right. Thank you, Marge. Last question before we leave. I'm sorry.
Kingsley, I'll be the last question. Will you give
Yeah, yeah,
me?
yeah, yeah. I just thought about this now, Marge. Would you be open to answer some questions from the mentees? That we'll call them in this program. We'll call them the African stars. Would you be open to answer maybe one or two questions if they reach out to you? I mean, they will reach out to you through our platforms, social media platforms. If they do, will you be open to answer some of their questions? Because some of them might have questions about your how you did it, maybe advice on how they can also do it. Will you be able to take out time to answer these questions and serve as mentor to them?
Yeah, no, definitely. Hit me up.
All right. All right. Thank you very much, Mark. It's nice having you on this program. And to our viewers out there, thank you for watching the African Diaspora, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.